Okay, so how many of these typing sessions of mine have you seen before?
I've watched quite a few.
Okay, so
I got started like a month ago,
okay,
and I knew pretty much within a couple of sessions, like, oh, I'm gonna do this, right? But
cool.
I just didn't follow up with it. And in the meantime, I listened to a bunch of the sessions on my own time.
All right, well,
Yeah,
good. That's
yeah,
actually, it's like in some sense, I think, well, okay, well, then the person knows all my questions, but how
right,
how correctly you interpret what I'm doing with when I'm asking stuff is also kind of indicative
right,
of type. So,
right.
okay, let's do the SI thing where
Of
you
course.
recount for me small significant details of the day up until now.
Well, I got up around 10 o'clock. I sat and listened to the alarm for a while. I got up, um, made some coffee. I, let's see, coffee, made my mother breakfast, um, sat around and drank some coffee. I took out the dehumidifier before that. Um, I
Do you get the newspaper at
sat
your
around.
house?
Do I get the newspaper? No,
Nobody gets the newspaper anymore.
I don't think I don't think people do that.
My dad still gets the newspaper. My dad still
He
gets it.
does.
Yeah, yeah, he gets two newspapers.
If people sent a newspaper, I'd probably read it. If it was just there
Sometimes
on
it's
the
nice.
doorstep,
Yeah, sometimes it's nice.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, I mean,
Okay,
we
so
don't.
did you consume any media while you were eating breakfast and stuff?
I did not eat breakfast. I don't eat
You
breakfast.
just made breakfast for your mom, but you didn't eat any.
Yeah, and
Did
she just. It was just a bowl of cereal.
Have you considered making her the turducken of breakfast mush? Cream of
That's
wheat
gonna.
mixed
I'm
with
gonna have
oatmeal mixed with grits.
to. Mixed with Grace, did you say?
Grits.
Grits. Okay.
That's the
This is gonna take time,
That's the
right?
turducken of breakfast mush right there. It's not that hard. You just got to make oatmeal, cream of wheat, and grits and mush them together.
Right. I
Um,
wouldn't see. This is danger, right? If I do it for her once, she's gonna want me to do it for her again, and
oh,
that's I just don't want
make me the
to.
turducken of breakfast mush again.
No, and I don't want that. I'm plenty fine with her going. Oh, just make me some cereal. I'm like, all right.
Okay.
So,
So how are you with procrastinating on things?
well, given the email that I just sent you, I do.
Okay, but that's not really the sort of thing I'm talking about. I'm talking about like,
Okay.
let's say, you have to uh, file a thing for your taxes within a month.
Right. Okay.
Do you do it the last day
Put
or
it
you do it right away?
put it. I don't necessarily do it the last day, but it will take time. So put it this way: I have to file in for jury duty, and I have the thing. It's just been sitting around, and I keep having it in the back of my mind.
Hmm.
And I should probably just all I have to do is send an email.
I
That's
know.
all I have to do.
I know, but it's a
I just have
task you
to.
don't
I've
want
just
to
been
do.
doing other things,
It's a
right?
task you don't like.
It's just it's not even that. It's jury duty. I don't have to go to jury duty for another few months. And there's the bong rip. Let's go. I don't have to go to jury duty for a few months. All I have to do is send the friggin' email.
I love jury duty.
I've only been once, and it didn't go anywhere. We just sat in the courthouse, and then eventually we had to leave.
I made it onto the jury twice. Once I was the foreman.
Okay.
That was pretty.
What does that mean?
You just say like you make sure that everybody gets their chance to talk and basically say, okay, now what do you have to say about it? Okay, what do you have to say
Okay,
about it? Like it's just that. And
that's not that bad.
yeah, and you kind of like sort of guide the group in making sure everybody's satisfied with what we decided.
Right.
Anyway,
Okay.
can you define justice for me?
Justice. I was actually thinking about this last night, um, because you have talked about it in the past and I was thinking, we're going to have this session. Justice. I'm not entirely sure. I could see multiple definitions, or I could see multiple people having different definitions. I think one definition could be revenge. One could be, making up of amends, or satisfying someone's, want to make up on an ill or something like that.
Remediation.
Remediation.
Yeah,
sure.
That's the legal word for that.
Sure.
Okay. Do you feel you uphold the principles of justice in general in your own life?
What would that mean? I think that I try to do my best to be honest with people. If I feel badly about something, I try not to commit crimes.
Do you feel as though justice and lying are linked to each other?
Do you mean in the process, or do you mean psychologically? What do you mean?
Well, let's say you casually lie to somebody out of convenience. Have you committed an injustice against them?
One could, if you look at it and go, well, if you've ever lied before, or if you ever lie about anything, then that's an injustice. But, I could see the situation where you need to lie just to get shit done, or it's just a little lie, and it's pretty inconsequential. It's really not a big deal.
Do you think
and
that
it just, for whatever reason?
Do you feel more justified in lying to people who have authority over you?
More justified in lying to people with authority over me? Why would you feel more justified?
Well, for example, when I was in high school, I had a bunch of unexcused absences that would turn into truants if I didn't do something about it. So I went around to various teachers and got them to sign off on these things, often by lying, and managed to avoid the consequence of truants, which I didn't think were justified because I didn't feel like I had any obligation to go to class.
Right.
So
are you asking, is that an injustice?
Yeah, in that instance, at the time anyway, I thought that was fine because those people shouldn't have that authority over me anyway. I don't know if I agree with it still, but
I mean, okay, when I was in high school, right, I didn't necessarily feel that I should be required to go to school, or I should be required to be in this class at this point in time. I still usually did it. But I mean, people can justify just about anything, however far they want to stretch their bullshit.
Right. Are some justifications more justified than others?
Who am I to say?
You're just as
me.
You're
probably.
You have just as much authority to say so as anybody else.
At least for me personally. Yeah, probably. There are absolutely things that are more justified. I mean, but I don't know. It's probably, people are probably going to see it differently.
But what about my safety first rule that requires all participants in typing sessions to wear orange so they don't get hit by cars?
I mean, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, it makes sense to me too. So let's talk about extroverted intuition.
Okay.
Let's say you watch 4 YouTube videos about a new subject that is kind of fancy, like that you've not studied before. For example, maybe the science of the way kidneys work in marsupials. Something sciencey. Okay, now you read 4 articles, each of which is making arguments about why these marsupials' kidneys functions like this. Will you be more likely to identify which is the article with the most novel insights, or which is the article that's least bullshit?
I would care about least bullshit. I think. I'd be interested in the novel one.
Do you think that that you'd be able to, even though you don't maybe know all the science words, you'd be able to,
Sure.
to figure out whether or not one of these articles is more legit than others, based on other cues?
Maybe. I mean, you could check a lot of things. You could check the writer. You could, go background check the writer, or.
But without leaving the text itself.
Without leaving the text itself. Maybe you'd have to look for context cues in the writing itself. So.
Okay. Do you believe in Sasquatch?
Do I believe in Sasquatch? I don't know. It's possible. I don't think, probably not. I guess.
Okay. Do you think?
Might be.
Do you think alien crafts have visited Earth?
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't necessarily. I don't know. I don't know yes or no, but I wouldn't be surprised either way.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about ghosts? Do you feel more strongly in belief or disbelief of ghosts than those other two things?
I don't think ghosts are here.
Okay, so you disbelieve in ghosts, but Sasquatch maybe and aliens maybe.
When you put it that way.
I had the same position.
How do I justify it? What?
I had the same position.
Oh, okay. That means that you're just as stupid as me, I think.
I'm increasingly convinced that Sasquatch is real.
Really?
I've just seen too many videos.
I haven't gone down the rabbit hole.
That aren't faked. Like, it's like, there's these guys in Provo, Utah, and they're looking up on this hill behind their house, and there's this big fucking black furry thing, like, tromping through the snow at high speed. It's clearly not faked. It's like, done on the phone, people are like, what the fuck is that,
See, my gut tells me that's my uncle.
I don't know. I think it's Sasquatch. Anyway.
I guess the thing about ghosts is that we probably have more to suggest to us that ghosts are probably bullshit.
Well, ghost seems a less convincing explanation for ghostly phenomena than Sasquatch seems a convincing explanation for Sasquatch, or aliens seem a convincing explanation for UFOs.
Okay.
In other words, just because something moves on its own, there's no reason to conclude that a ghost made it move.
Sure.
Whereas, if you see a big, hairy, man-like creature in the woods, there's reason to conclude that it's Sasquatch.
Well, I mean, you could have also misidentified another animal that you're not familiar with.
Well, sure, but if something moves on its own, you're not misidentifying something. You're just randomly taking a shot in the dark. A ghost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
like, it's not like you see a white sheet-shaped thing and then say, that's a ghost. You just see some object move on its own. And people just conclude that it's ghosts.
I don't know. Again, I haven't deep dived into.
I've been watching Paranormal Caught on Camera.
Okay.
I've been going through it like high speed on Discovery Plus. Anyway.
Well, okay. If you want to talk about sensing out bullshit, there's probably. I mean, you could infer from that those people are maybe trying to make money by doing photo shit with making something look like a ghost, and they can all be in on the act. And oh my God, there's a spirit in here. I can feel it.
Oh well, yeah. I tend to not believe any of the ghost huntery shit.
Okay.
It's like the videos that are weird to me are the ones which there's like this grandpa filming his baby playing on pots and pans with spoons, and then randomly shit happens in the background, and the guy picks up the baby and runs out of the house. Like that is like, okay, that grandpa and baby did not fake this shit.
Yeah. I mean, I've never seen it.
Grandpa's just learned how to use the phone, for God's sake.
The thing, I mean, really, any time you're getting something on camera, you're watching a video, it could technically be doctored in some way.
Yeah, it could. Sure.
I
mean, but at the same time, we do consider video evidence of things.
Yep.
Okay, so enough pleasant conversation. Let me get back to work.
Sorry.
No, what are you, Effie Tool? You must be, or something.
I don't know.
Let's find out. Okay, I already have some notions about what types you might be based on the fact that it's pleasant talking to you, which is not a very good good reason. But
should I be meaner? Would you like me to be meaner to you?
Not necessarily. Okay. So let me ask some TI questions, and we'll see how those go. Let's start with genealogy.
I'm pretty good at these.
Okay. Who's my father's only brothers, only sons, wife's only daughter in relation to me?
Your father's only brothers, son's wife's daughter, you said.
I did say that, didn't I?
That sounds like your cousin's wife's daughter, and I don't know what you call that.
Yeah, I meant to say son's mother's daughter to make her my cousin, but
So
I said
cousin.
wife's. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, well, that's very good TI and very good SI as well. Okay, let me try again. How about if all penguins swim, and some things that swim eat krill, is it necessarily the case that some penguins eat krill?
Not necessarily.
Okay. If either A or B, then not C, and C, what can we conclude?
Neither A nor B.
Okay. How about a missing generalization?
Okay.
The gardeners haven't been here. There's no leaves in the trash can.
That if the gardener has been here, they must have
put leaves in the trash can.
Put leaves in the trash bin.
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't make it clear which one.
It's not an all nunner. I want to say again.
I didn't make clear which was the conclusion. Is why it's not an all nunner.
I mean, I got enough to get out of it, but I would like to say, like I've said, I've been listening to a lot of these.
Sure. So you're practicing
while doing other shit. So I've, and when I watch them, I play along. So if I hear a TI question, I'll just, it's possible that maybe I've gotten good at these or something.
I mean, people do get better at things, and TI is more trainable usually than extroverted intuition or introverted sensing seem to be. But right. I would say additionally that
is it the speed that's getting on you?
Well, there's two things. One, people play along when they discover that they're naturally capable of doing well on things, usually.
Okay.
If I were playing a game that every time you tried to play along, the person on the TV did better than you, you'd be like, I don't like this game. So, there's
because you're not good at it doesn't mean you don't like it.
That's true, but it does tend to mean that your ceiling's lower than somebody who starts off.
No, I know where you're getting at. It's freaking this blowtorch man. All right. I like the first or second video I had watched. You whipped out a blowtorch from off screen. I'm sitting here like, why does this guy have a fucking blowtorch? What is going on with this blowtorch? And then you went to take a bong rip with it, and I'm like, yes.
It really is as simple as it's the only lighter. Like right now, I don't see. There's a lighter over there, but I'd have to get up to get it.
And this is right next to you.
Yeah, this is the only lighter I never put in my pocket and walk away with.
Okay.
Okay, so
it's hard to pick a blowtorch.
Your TI seems very robust. You could be. I would. All right. So the question really is: could your TI be well practiced and robust third slot? And the answer is, I don't know.
Okay.
But the answer is, it's it's theoretically possible, maybe, but it seems
I'm just
unlikely.
listening to this. I'm listening to this and hearing you've suggested that I'm FE Tool and that maybe I'm practice TI third, which puts me in one direction. Which is it?
Right, but I don't. But what I'm getting at here,
Right.
That was the preface. What I'm getting at is I don't think it is practice TI third. Okay.
Okay.
I think it's higher.
Why is that?
Which makes it second or first. Well, the speed, the enthusiasm for the test questions. Let's try some NE questions though and find out. Okay. So, can you tell me a story about a little girl who burns herself on a kettle and develops the magic power of being able to heat water at will?
Okay. A kettle, like a pot has water in it.
A tea
steaming
kettle. Yeah, a steaming tea kettle on the stove.
A tea kettle.
Yes, a tea kettle.
Okay. There's a little girl. Her name is Molly. Her mother is making tea and tells her to go take the kettle off the oven because it's steaming. It's screaming at her. So she goes and she burns it. And I don't know.
She burns the kettle?
No, she burns herself on the kettle.
I see.
And I don't know, she was going through puberty or something at that point. And
that pesky puberty.
A magical twist of fate, through puberty and touching the tea kettle, she saps the power of the tea kettle and gets the ability to heat water.
I think she was also struck by radioactive lightning concurrently.
She was struck by radioactive lightning.
I think so.
I was thinking something with radioactivity or something like that. I mean, that's like the Spider-Man thing. Or
it's puberty, electricity, and radioactivity combined. That cause you to get superpowers, I think. Okay. Interesting. So let's try. I want to try another story idea because with that one, I didn't give you a lot of time to tell it out before making a joke. But additionally,
I didn't really try to tell a story. I just tried to explain how this girl got that superpower. I could have told the story.
Come up with a creative way. Now you're working in a writer's room in Hollywood,
right? Okay.
On a script, and one of the characters in this new superhero movie has an intense phobia of envelopes. And I want you to create the backstory to explain the character's intense phobia of envelopes.
You want me to create the backstory of that envelope phobia? Well, okay. When they were a young lad, their mother was very mean. And she knew that paper cuts hurt very badly. And so every time he was a bad little boy, and he was a bad little boy often, as little boys tend to be, she would take a big, heavy envelope, and she would, paper cut between his fingers and, hold him down and paper cut. And ever since, those early envelope hazings, he's developed a terrible trauma associated with envelopes. And
that's so much darker than what I was thinking.
What were you thinking?
That he worked at the post office one day and accidentally fell into a very large envelope and was mailed to Duluth.
Okay. It was mailed. He himself was mailed.
Yes. And being a postal worker, he knew he couldn't fight his way out of the envelope because that would be destruction of postal property, a federal crime. So he had to wait until somebody opened.
That's federal.
Until somebody opened the envelope. At that point, he had developed a phobia.
Right. That's it's a claustrophobia and envelope phobia mixed in one.
So, what do you think I conclude from our different storytellings in both instances.
Are you thinking perhaps that I am an NI user and you are an NE user? And is that suggesting to you that I'm NI first? But you don't know that necessarily.
I don't know that yet necessarily. I mean, I am thinking Beta Quadra.
Okay.
And I'm not thinking ISTP.
Yeah. Okay.
Your TI is very good, but I've seen ENFJs with very good TI before. I typed one just the other night. She was a lady who I typed her as an ESTP, and after she said, I'm an ENFJ.
But the problem with that is that you think that I have robust SI.
Well, keep in mind, let me tell you, like I'm saying, I'm walking down the line of things of what I, so you're right. Okay, so there's that. Your SI seems to be too robust for ENFJ, but my shallow SI testing didn't reveal the SI polar of the ENFJ that I typed the other day, because she had within her a very small bank of canned SI things, which she revealed to me.
Yeah, so, I thought about this. Yeah.
Okay, so that's possible ENFJ, possible ESTP. That would explain this. The capacity for SI. They've got basically the same capacity for generating SI on demand as ENTPs do, ESTPs. They just don't use it when they're not being compelled to be a subject, like in the same way.
Right. I will say that I have thought about this. Just to.
I would assume you have. I would assume you have. Yes.
No. I'm saying what I'm saying is specifically of SI.
Oh, okay.
I have thought about this because, you do this, you start this off every time with, what did you do today? Or, if you went to a restaurant, what are some inconsequential things? And now that you've said it and I've heard it so many times, every once in a while it pops into my head like, what did I do this morning?
Right, so in other words, your capacity as a meta-analyst to utilize maps to cascade down and affect your experience is manifesting. Which would suggest INFJ or ENFJ, but it could also be that would happen with, say, ESTPs as well. I haven't witnessed it, but okay. So
in an ESTP, you say? Well, you haven't witnessed it in an ESTP.
In an ESTP, like my own daughter doesn't. She's obviously been around cognitive functions a whole lot. And I haven't really ever heard her express to me things like what I would call like recognized metacognition or noted metacognition. Like, oh, I noted when I was using this cognitive function the other day. Is not something I've really ever heard her say. Although this is the first time I've thought about it.
I'm doing it now. Like, I've been listening to, consuming articles and videos about MBTI and cognitive functions for a while, and of course that led me into a lot of people, and especially C.S. Joseph. And then I mean, not to knock him too much, but I started watching your stuff like a month ago, and it had a different effect on me. I don't know if that's just because, well, maybe you're just very charismatic and it's having an effect on me. Or maybe it's just because the material is that much more robust or something that, but I would think it's probably more I think it is more either not necessarily robustness. It could just be the applicability of how I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I think it is. That's what I think it is. So there's a fair number of people who expect to have their understanding of cognitive functions already distilled down into some sort of utility heuristic. Like, this is how I'm going to improve my life. Why are we care about personality type? Because it helps you to grow as a person. And eventually, you can master all the functions and become. It's like if you have that frame of reference going in, that there has to be some applicable utility to me as a self-help thing rather than a philosophy thing. Then then you're
I
gonna.
think he very much presents it as that, as a self-help. And, if you are INTJ, you have to do this and this and this and this and this, or you're going to do this, and you should do this. Whereas if you look at it just like, yeah, this is probably how you tick, and this is probably why other people tick that way.
And I think it's
Am I being
indicative.
wrong?
No. I think you're right. But I think, like, if you ask people, why are you on YouTube? The most common answer is to help people.
Right.
But I was fortunate because early on, I realized the truth. I'm on YouTube to get attention. I'm an attention whore.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you're saying that of just you, but I think of most people, that's probably the real.
But
They want that.
Do you understand how it reframes the question of cognitive functions entirely? If you're on YouTube to help people, then you've got to make cognitive functions helpful. If you're on YouTube to get attention, then you have to be right about them. And so it's like,
okay,
or dramatically wrong about them, I guess, in flamboyant ways. I guess the point is, I am on YouTube to get attention, but the only way I know how is by being right. Whereas,
no, I get that. Right.
Yeah, it's like if you're
you don't.
ESTJ,
it's gonna sit with you if you're wrong about something and you're getting attention from being wrong. It's gonna sit with you eventually. If you're being honest with yourself, it's gonna sit with you. Well, I'm getting attention from being dishonest. I'm leading people on. Right.
I mean, the thing is, if you look at an ESTJ, they're on YouTube because they want to talk, and they, the purpose, the real, like the mechanisms that they're approaching it with are basically, how is it useful to me? So it's like their real reason for me may be attention, but my mechanism is, how is it true for everybody, logically provably? C.S. Joseph's thing is, I'm just here to say words and
make money doing it.
And make money doing it. Yeah, exactly. That's some good NI right
and
there.
He's pretty good at it.
Okay, so I'm leaning heavily towards INFJ at this point, but let me check. Let me do a couple of other tests.
All right. Okay.
I mean, I or E. I'm not sure. Let me do some other tests though.
Okay.
All right. Can you tell me a story from your own life about somebody that would? No, let me change this approach. Can you explain the concept of hater to me?
Hater.
Pretend I don't know what it means, and I've never heard the term before.
I've used the word hater sarcastically a lot before. A hater. I guess it depends on who's. Like, I think there are probably multiple definitions, right? A hater. So, okay. Take yourself out of character for a second. I'm asking you. Are you asking me what is a hater or what is a hater?
All right. Let me change the situation here. Let me change the question.
Okay. Okay.
I'm a little kid who's come home from school.
Okay.
And I told Judy that I thought her trapper keeper clashed with her outfit. She said I was just being a hater. What did
so
she
it's
mean?
a hater. It's a hater then.
I don't know what she meant. Can you explain the concept to me?
They will call you a hater dramatically to mean anything that displeases them at that particular time. Or you hurt their feelings, so now they want to call you a hater. Hater. It's
That's a very FE tool function response to that.
Is it?
Rachel will probably give the same response. Let me ask her and see what she says. Can you take your headphones off? Okay. Pretend I'm a kid. Okay, come home from school. I was at school today, and I told Judy that I thought her trapper keeper clashed with her outfit, and she said, "You're just a hater." What did she mean? I've never heard this word before. What did she mean when she called me a hater?
strange to talk to you as a kid. But hate is not a good word.
Mm-hmm. But what does she mean?
She means that...
What really happened there?
She called you a hater?
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure why she called you a hater, but what a hater means is that you hate on things or you don't like things.
Okay, so here's what he said in response. He said what I would have expected you to say, which was, well, you hurt her feelings, so she called you that. Right? Like, for example, Rachel has pointed out that...
It doesn't really define it.
Rachel has pointed out, and no, you're right, it doesn't define it. And that's what I meant by it being an FE tool thing. So I think Rachel, knowing me, maybe, is trying to give me a TI answer, like, and somewhat flailing around with it. But I've seen her demonstrate the thing before that you just did, which was point out the thing that makes me go, oh yeah. Like one time my dad was really mad at me about something minor, and I was like, God, that's so not, I don't understand why I got so mad about that. And she's like, no, he's mad because we hurt his feelings because we bailed on him after the dinner on Thanksgiving.
Well, I mean, okay.
So it's like, those things I don't generally notice. That doesn't come to mind as a possible explanation for things very easily for me.
I mean, I don't necessarily, I mean, okay. Should I, you've already told me you think I'm an INFJ.
I mean,
this is where you're getting at.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I want you, but see, the thing is, you're so knowledgeable about all this stuff that it's hard for me.
How knowledgeable am I?
Quite.
I don't know. I don't know that I'm an expert. I just watch videos on YouTube. Right?
I mean, what I mean is, you're so knowledgeable about my processes and the.
All right.
What links to what within my processes? So you talk to me a bit.
About what?
About what you think about your own responses to all of these questions and such.
About my own responses. Okay. I mean, that's where we get into, am I actually good at this? So I've responded with a story, right? I went into a different direction than you did. Now, I've heard of INFJs that they tend to have a bit of a dark sense of humor, or they have a pessimistic mindset. That might be wrong. But I went with, there's this horribly traumatic thing that happened.
Right, okay.
Does that...
The fact that it was horribly traumatic was not my takeaway at all. It was It was that was the obvious answer.
Is it?
Yeah. So
okay.
If you want to create a phobia, the obvious answer is trauma.
So you're thinking with that, you thought of some weird off-the-wall thing, and so Annie... Is that what you're thinking?
I mean, basically. I'm thinking
and because I went right to, okay, this is probably where the root is, this is probably where the problem is that NI or SI?
I'd say that's NI. Because,
well, I mean, it could be...
because the thing is, I set up the conditions for a childhood trauma, in some sense, right? Like, I didn't say childhood trauma, but anytime you say there's a phobia, the NI conclusion is childhood trauma.
Right.
So, being an NE person, I immediately deviate from whatever the NI conclusions are. And also, I just like to make things funny or something.
Oh, sure.
But, okay, yeah, that is
I
what
will
I'm
say
thinking.
that like, okay, before I answered that, right, that wasn't the first thing that came to mind. That was what I answered with.
What was the first thing that came to mind?
Oh, shit. And envelopes. What was it? I can't think of what exactly it was. I've already moved on in the discussion.
Here's the thing:
it's already out.
That's a commonality that I've noted in both ENTPs and INFJs, Right. If Rachel asks me 2 minutes later, we'll reference something, and both know what we're referencing, but we won't remember the specs of it. So that's common for both, I think, at least ENTPs and INFJs. Okay, let me. I forgot what I was doing. Now I'll resume what I was doing. Can you tell me a story about sour grapes, or explain the concept of sour grapes to me?
Sour grapes?
Yeah.
Sour grapes means that someone is holding a grudge.
Okay. So, can you explain the concept of something and then provide an example of it?
Anything at all?
Let's say, crocodile tears.
Crocodile tears. That's a good one. Sorry, give me the subtext again. What am I doing again?
I want you to explain the concept and then provide an example.
Okay. So crocodile tears, I believe this is like a dramatic, over emotional response to something, or a soft emotional response to something that's typically associated with lefties. Right. That's the feel that I have.
Yeah, I think
it's not necessarily true, but that's what's. Sorry.
I think definitionally it's sort of like trying to put on an emotional display to move people or manipulate them in some way.
Okay.
But now, how about the example?
Okay, so someone heard a story about a children in Africa or something. Someone from America who's never been to Africa before, they heard a story about a child in Africa, and they cried crocodile tears, and they like, oh, this terrible thing, I heard this like a coney, right? They cried crocodile tears, and from what you are saying of it, then that would lead to, they made this big display of it, and everyone donate to this or whatever.
Okay. What's your? Do you have anything that you could identify as your precious that you like to tweak out on? Like
my precious?
Yeah, like maybe you have like a model train set that you care a lot about, do little detail stuff on, or some little thing like a garden that you maintain, or a cat, or something like that.
I have a cat.
What's your relationship with your cat?
He likes me a lot. I don't hate him, but my cat is very lovey-touchy with me, and I like him. But I don't intentionally be mean to him.
How often do you make love with your cat?
It's all I do, man.
Okay, that's
it's
good.
Just.
Our cat is not that lovey-dovey. She's kind of, well, she wants love when she wants love, and no love when she doesn't want love.
When you say make love, do you mean make love, or do you mean make love?
I mean, when you really get into petting your cat.
Oh, because I meant the other one. So there you go. I don't. It happens. Usually, a couple of times a day. He likes to sit on my lap, and I let him do it. Usually, it's annoying at first, but it's he sits there and he purrs on you, and it's it's the kitty.
You're lucky. I am lucky if I can make love to that cat maybe once every 2 days. Like around bedtime, she'll get on my chest and I'll pet her, and then she'll like push her face against my face. Then I'll know we're really making love.
Oh.
But it's hard to get that from her. She's not that lovey-dovey.
I don't get that.
I've seen her do that to you. Well, when you get that when you come out of the shower with your wet hair.
Yes.
And she goes nuts over Rachel's wet hair. Anyway, enough about cats. Okay, so when you're not at home, are you thinking about the cat ever?
No.
if
Well,
somebody,
it's just you framed it initially as what do you have a precious? So I look at that as okay, this is the Gollum thing, right?
yeah,
From Lord of the Rings.
right,
So my
right.
precious. I don't think that I have uh anything like that in particular that
I
I'm
guess that's how I see
constantly
FI as
thinking about.
deformed like Gollum. Okay,
That's
so
half of everyone.
yeah, okay. Would you prefer a world in which everyone honestly displayed their emotions, or in which everyone was always guarded and socially graceful?
Everyone was honest.
Okay. Do you think that you would be among the people who honestly displayed their emotions all the time?
If it was totally understood that everyone could just be honest, yeah, I would do it.
Hmm.
But we
It,
are not in that.
what do you think would
Uh,
happen if you took that approach now, even though the world's not ready for
oh,
it?
I don't know. Um, I've had different responses to being very open about emotions before. So, I've been openly emotional and people have pushed off. They don't want to hear some dude talk about his emotions, which I understand.
When
Or,
people have
they don't want to
pushed
deal
off.
with someone else's emotions.
So what do you mean?
Um,
What do you mean by when someone's pushed off?
Pushed off, like, you're, let's say you display your emotions to someone, like, you've had a hard time or something. Like I can think back to one particular experience where I had a really bad experience, and everyone that I came to with this experience just didn't want to hear about it, which I understand. It was at college at that point, and I was acting badly at that point in time, right? So everyone that I wanted to come to with this, usually they just didn't want to hear it. Usually they would get annoyed with it. Usually, uh, they just didn't want to freaking hear it.
I
Right?
see.
Right?
Did people ever try to want to solve?
Uh, One or two, yeah, probably. I would say.
And how did you feel about that?
Um, at the point in time, I was so volatile that I didn't. Um, okay, let me go back a step. I reckon that those people were trying to help me, right? Um, in hindsight, right? At that point in time, I took it as an insult, or I took it badly, right? I should have just come with it. And again, it was a very emotional state. It
What do you
was a
think the
volatile time.
What do you think the ideal response from people would have been?
I don't know. I really don't know. Um,
Would commiseration
I
have helped?
What's that mean?
Means like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Share more with me.
See, that's the thing is if I hear that, I feel like it's fake.
Okay,
Oh
well,
my
it
gosh, I'm
would be
so
for me. It
sorry.
would be
I'm
for
so
me.
sorry. Oh my gosh.
Look,
It feels kind of fake.
it definitely would be fake for me. But what I'm saying is, there are people in the world who are like super empathetic like that.
Right. No,
Sorry.
probably FE tool users, yeah?
Well, I actually think you'd probably be best suited to talk to an INFP.
You- Okay.
It's like they understand what it means to go around with a burden of feelings all the time.
Right.
People who have FI in the back stack really don't get that. For most people who have FE in the front stack, the reality is I walk around feeling neutral most of the time. And if I'm feeling
Okay.
things, then it must be some sort of extra stimulation, either something bad that I can't get off my mind, or something good that I can't get off my mind, like something exciting coming up. Otherwise,
Right.
I'm just feeling neutral. That's normally how FE people think about it. Let me ask you this. Tell me about your creative hobbies or other hobbies.
Creative hobbies. I play guitar. I like to play guitar. I like to sing. I can play a bit of bass. It's different.
Do you have a bass?
I like to play video games. I do have bass.
I want a bass.
I'm
really jealous of you.
All right, man. This one actually, I have one over here. If you want to look at it, it's
Well, I don't want to look at your bass. That's like going to a titty bar. There's no point.
Oh, okay.
You know, what is the point of going to a titty bar? You can't touch them.
Yeah, no,
You're not going to get to do anything.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
And it's also, you know, you're gonna be around the kind of people that you see at a titty bar.
Yeah.
What kind of girl works at a titty bar? She's probably
a fine apple-cheeked, fine apple-cheeked young lady, I'm sure.
apple cheeks. I mean, the way that I see it, you know, it's 2021. If you really want to see that, you don't have to go very much further than your computer. So you go to the titty bar for what? The social connection of that it's a person in real time whose titties you don't get to touch, or what?
I mean, it just seems you're spending way too much time getting aroused and way too little time getting it over with.
And also drinking, drinking beer the whole time and eating shitty food the whole time. And, you know.
Well, burly, stern-looking men stand around keeping an eye on you.
Hey man, could you give me some space? I'm trying to like keep it up over here. You're staring at me. You're making it weird, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Well. So, can you break down the process of brushing your teeth into exactly 5 steps?
Into exactly 5 steps. Okay. These ones trick with me a little bit because I can't think ahead and like plan it all into 5 steps, so I'll try. You get your materials, step 1. So you're going to need a toothbrush, you're going to need a water source, you're going to need toothpaste. You're going to put the paste on the toothbrush, that's 2. You're probably going to water that, right? Get it wet. You're going to go ahead and, put it in, brush, do your stuff, all your stuff, fronts, backs, tops, bottoms, tongue, and everything. Then you're going to, step 5, spit all that out, and step 6 is clean up. So that's 6 steps I went over. You could probably get rid of, I guess gather your materials is a step.
So, yeah, that's the thing.
I just went over.
I get that kind of response a lot from TE Polar will respond with things that are not steps to begin with. A lot of times I'll get from TE Polar, well, you'll need to know blah, blah, blah. That is not a step.
Well, I didn't say that.
You didn't say that. You said you'll need to gather your materials together.
That's
right?
A step. As far as I'm concerned, that's a step.
Okay, you'll note, John. You can't do your shit. You'll note, John. It's not a step you take when you brush your teeth.
You're just talking about the actual physical process of brushing the teeth, or what? It's not a step I take. How is it not a step? Every time I brush my teeth, I gather my toothbrush and shit.
You don't gather your toothbrush, your toothpaste, and a water source. You go to the fucking bathroom and you put toothpaste on your toothbrush.
What if I'm at a campsite and I need a bucket of water?
Okay, that's a very NIN frame of reference, right? It's totally detaching how to brush your teeth from actually brushing your teeth,
Okay.
So in other words, you replace you with one. This is an interesting thing to note. It's like, I've never thought about this before, that there used to be a fairly clear distinction between using you and one a long time ago. This is before my time, I think, maybe like in the Victorian times or something, where if you meant you said you. If you meant
Right.
one, you said one. So it's like, how does one brush his teeth? Is a
Right.
different question than how do you brush your teeth?
So are you asking how do I do it, or how does one do it?
Well,
You're saying I answered
the,
how does one do it?
the point is,
Right.
in modern parlance, you means both you and one, and it's
Right.
left up to the hearer to decide.
Right.
So
Right.
the hearer here decided in the NI way.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Can you tell me?
The NI way you think is the one way, not the U.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Can you tell me an SFJ story? I'll demo one. So, I was at the Henshaws the other day, and I ran into Bobby. And you remember Bobby? He's the one we met at the party. The one with the wife? Yeah, and the two kids who were twins? Yeah. Okay, so he said to me that he absolutely loved the casserole that I brought. And I was like, thank you! That is so nice of you. And he raved about it. You should have seen him. Now you do. You tell me an actual SFJ story from your life.
An actual SFJ story about my life particularly.
Yeah, now that story I made up, but that didn't happen to me.
Okay.
But I want you to tell me when it did happen.
Okay. So last week, I have to do the head thing because
Sure.
that's last week. That's what you did.
Spent a lot of time with an ESFJ.
Last week, me and my friend, we did a podcast, and we were arguing about what's a better sandwich, and she was saying that a peanut butter and jelly is better than a BLT. And I was going, how can you think that a BLT is worse than a PB&J? And her husband was going, I think that the BLT is better. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, the BLT is better. So why do you think the PB&J is better? And she was going, well, I like the PB&J. And
are you sure she was going? Maybe she was all.
Maybe she was all.
People don't just go,
all.
they are also all.
He's all.
Yeah. And then he's all.
I don't know. Did I interpret that correctly?
Yeah,
or
no, you did a great job of it.
Okay.
It seemed very unnatural to you. Like you don't normally tell stories like that.
Right.
But you can pull it off.
Right. Sure.
Everything I've seen seems consistent with INFJ, I gotta tell you. But you tell me now what you thought you were, or what you think you are.
Well, I didn't know. So I had considered that INFJ is a possibility. My problem is that I feel a lot in common with a lot of people who come on, and I could infer from my past experiences that I'm actually just FE polar, and you've not been the nicest to people before, or you're just not the greatest in social situations, or something like that, and that might be something that someone FE polar would do. But you're suggesting the FE tool, which would be TE polar, and I don't know necessarily how to interpret TE polar.
Well,
maybe because I am TE polar.
Yeah. All right. So let me see if I can get some more sense of TE from you.
Okay.
Walk me through the steps I'll need to take to reset my email password.
To reset your email password. All right. Well, you need to go onto the site. So, Gmail or whatever. You need to go to the part where it says, help me find my password. It's probably going to have a little hyperlink. It's probably going to be pretty easy to notice when you try to sign in. It's going to say password here. And then underneath that, it's going to say, need help? Forgot your password? So you click on that, and it's going to give you a list of steps. Right? You're probably going to need to have another email address or a phone number or something and they're going to send you a text or a call or another email to another email address that you know the password to, and they're going to send you a code or something, and it's going to, when you can probably insert the code, it's probably going to have a code, empty spaces for you to put that code into. You're going to type that code in, and then it's going to bring you to another new screen where it's going to say, put in your new password, and then confirm that password again, and then there you go. Click the next button, and you should have a new password.
Okay. Well, the thing is, I'm not eliminating INTJ as a possibility, because
see, that's the thing.
But I'll get to the bottom of it. Hold on.
Why is that? Yep.
Okay. Well, I would note the following thing.
Okay.
That the strong TI is probably more consistent with INTJ than strong third slot SI of an INFJ. Seems a little faster.
Okay.
You're not mirroring me, and haven't been. So,
what do you mean by that?
Well, when I lean back, you don't lean back.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know if this is a problem, but I don't have like a camera. I have this set up on a phone.
I got you.
So,
but you also don't do it with your arms. You don't mirror me with your arms.
I'm not doing this.
Yeah, you don't mirror me with your hands.
Okay.
You just don't mirror me. Rachel can't help herself. Like, we're in the car, I roll down the window, she rolls down the window. We're sitting on the couch here, and I'm leaning forward, and I lean back, she leans back. It's kind of implicit to FE tool. So, there are indications that you're not FE tool. Your answer right there about the email thing, let me ask Rachel again. Can I ask you a question, Rachel?
Sure.
Can you explain to me how to reset my email password?
That gives me stress. No.
Can you talk to John for a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
I'm pretty confident he's an NI Dom, and I'm actually leaning at this point towards INTJ.
Oh.
But you know how I'm terrible at identifying FI?
Yeah, but I'm not the greatest.
But I want you to go into this basically thinking to yourself, INTJ or INFJ, and maybe ask questions about stuff he likes, or...
Yeah, I'm going to ask him about his hobbies.
Okay, here you go.
Hey, John.
Howdy.
So, I'm going to ask you about your hobbies. What are some things that interest you?
Okay. I like music. I like to play guitar. I like to play video games. I like to work out. I consider that a hobby. I don't know. I enjoy many things. I like movies. Although I'm not dedicated into movies, or, I would say I'm more dedicated into like guitar playing or video game playing.
What kind of video games?
Usually like strategy games. Although it does vary. I've played some like sports games. I've played some like card games. I've played some action kind of games. I've played a lot of games, shooters and that kind of thing. So.
And how long have you been playing guitar?
I started playing, I think I was like 13 or 14 or 15, around then. So that would be 14 years.
14
roughly.
years. Okay, that's great. What kind of guitar playing do you like to do? Do you like
You can pack the cigarettes from the car.
Okay.
do you write your own music, or do you like to learn by learning a song that's previously made? What's your kind of technique for learning guitar?
Do you mean in learning? The way I
Yes.
like taught myself. The
Yes.
way I taught I did, and I did teach myself. I didn't take
Hmm.
lessons. Um, I had some books that had chords and scales and whatnot. When I was in uh, my senior year of high school, I took a music theory course. And from taking that course, I took a lot of that knowledge and then put that to guitar. So, um, you know, um, I also learned a lot of songs. I had I have particular musicians that I like and particular artists that I like, and I learned a lot of those songs. Um, Typically, when I play guitar, I will do a little bit of both. So
Okay.
I will play songs that I've played a lot before, or songs that I'm practicing by other people. And then usually, if when I'm sitting there, I'll just start to noodle, just diddle around, and then eventually I'll start to play something that I've written before myself, or I'll just make something up on the spot. I've been known to improvise a lot.
Okay, so you're capable of not only picking up songs from artists that you like, but you can create your own music as well.
I can. I don't do it like I'm not in a band or anything. I just I do it in my spare time.
What kind of artists do you listen to?
Oh, I like a lot of music. So it's I mean it's probably mostly more popular artists. But I like metal, I like rock, I like blues, I like I like a lot of things. I like jazz, I like rap, I like a lot of genres. So amongst those, like lately, I've been playing a song by Alice in Chains a lot. Um, I usually every time I pick up a guitar, I play Raining Blood at least once.
See, that's a
Um,
song that I don't even know. Is that by
that's
Alice in
Slayer.
Chains? Oh,
That's Slayer.
Slayer. Okay, so you really do have a
I'm a cretin.
wide.
I'm a cretin.
That's great. Um, okay.
Let me
And I
see.
like to play blues
I'm
too.
curious about
You
this.
like to play blues as well?
Sure. Yeah.
Now, do you? I just wanted to ask one more
Go ahead.
question.
Go ahead. Take your time.
When it comes to conversation, do you seek out conversations with people that have sort of like more of a philosophical touch to it, or
I prefer to talk about deeper things than I don't like to talk about small talk as much. I will do it. We have to. We can't. I can't take someone who wants to talk about the stuff they did today and go away. But I would prefer to talk about the meaning of life than um, you know. But I like sports and stuff too. So yeah, I'd like to talk about that if you consider that small talk or not. But you know,
yeah, no, I
I
think
would like to talk about the deeper stuff.
that's great. All right, here's Eric. Thanks for talking to me.
Cheers.
So, can you talk to me what you just said? Told her about like music. Like, do you have genres you like?
I was saying I like a lot of genres. So I enjoy metal, I enjoy rock, I enjoy blues, I enjoy jazz, I enjoy rap. I,
How much do
I
you?
I like music a lot, and if like just because it's one genre doesn't mean that I will like it. So if I hear it and it's like, okay, I like metal, but this kind of sucks, then I'm not gonna like it. Yeah.
How much does musicianship matter?
What do you mean?
Like, would you say most of the? Are you more attentive to? Like, okay, well, let me put it this way. There's uh, a good song, a song you think is well written, good songwriting, but is kind of sloppily executed by a band, or a band that's got really great musicians, their songs a little aimless, maybe a little wandering?
Okay, this question. I think I would prefer for it to be well written.
Do you like the Dave Matthews Band?
No.
Okay. Do you like Rush?
Yeah. I'm not in love with it, but I definitely like it. They're very talented.
Yeah. Okay. I think you're an
But to that,
I think you're an INTJ.
okay. See, this is okay.
Let me ask Rachel what she thinks. I didn't ever ask her. Let me get her opinion here. So, Rachel, what do you think he is?
I think INTJ.
She thinks you're an INTJ too, and she dated one for a while, so she should know.
Okay.
What were some of the things that cued you into it?
His speech pattern, like he can go on I feel like he could go on about a topic that he likes.
He might be accused by some occasionally of telling someone more about penguins than they want to know.
Yes.
That is kind of an INTJ trait. Do you identify with the classic INTJ state of being, which is everyone's doing everything wrong, and although I'm enraged about it, although I'm enraged about it, I show nothing.
I mean, to those who know me, they see it. You know, they know about it. I wouldn't. Okay, I've thought about this too, and I thought this might go in this direction. But you know, it's not necessarily that everyone is doing everything wrong and I'm right about everything. I'm probably wrong about a lot, but I will look at the world around me and go, you know, I think that people's perspectives are wrong, or I think people's priorities are wrong, or I would look at it like people haven't done homework that they should have done.
I see.
And that homework wasn't necessarily assigned to them by school.
I mean, in general, people don't seem to do a whole lot of well, there's not a lot of thinking about what comprises the right frame for things, you know?
Go into more detail.
Well, like people respond to things within their frame of reference. So it might be something scary. We have to do something without thinking, how ought we respond to something scary in general? What about this specific scary thing? That kind of stuff.
What are the logistics of dealing with this problem, and what are the consequences of you having dealt with it?
Right, yeah. Whereas there's often a frame of the important thing is that we do something, because that validates on SE grounds. It also validates on FE grounds, right? It validates SE-FE.
You can do something, but you might be doing the wrong thing. You shouldn't do action for action's sake.
Right.
Right.
So that would be an example of not thinking about the frame, you know?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I would probably agree with that pretty heavily. I think people have a tendency to overreact to things.
So I'm fairly confident. I put it about 98% that you're INTJ. The other thing is the way you move.
Threw me for a bit of a loop here, right?
The other thing is the way you move around is
jerky.
Much more INTJ than I don't normally use physicalities, but you don't sit still like an ISTJ, and you don't sit neurotically self-conscious like an INFJ. You sit FE polar, like, you know,
which is to say clunky as shit.
Well, you just kind of jerk around, like, you know. I typed this family the other day, And the first time I typed the dad, I just noticed the girl who was going like this. And like scratching this ear with this arm, you know?
And by the way, you can't see my legs here. My hands are like, I don't know if you were saying that this is like intuitive. You think that intuitives sit weird, right?
Well, they don't pay much attention to their body.
Right.
Except for INFJs. Because
it's like
they're aware of how it
I'm
plays.
sitting here with my legs way spread out and my hands going on my knees and jerking forward and coming back and stuff.
Right. So somebody's gonna say like, "Oh, you're on the spectrum because you do that," you know.
Yeah. Okay. So this is another thought that I was having, and I was also going back to. I'll keep that thought for in a bit, but. I do a lot of things that I think that if someone normal were to look at me, they would look at that and go like, "You're super autistic. You're obviously autistic. You pace around and flap your hands and talk to yourself. Like why are you pacing around so much?" I was like, "I'm just caught in my head. It's good for stress."
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not autistic or on any spectrum or anything. You're just an INTJ who doesn't prioritize how that appears to others intentionally. And so it's like how, blind people like Stevie Wonder or whatever, they end up going like this all the time.
Right.
Why? Because the normal thing that prevents people from doing that is having your eyes open and being disruptive to your state of like,
no, people don't do that shit, Stevie. Why are you doing it? People do that shit, or people don't do that shit, right?
Right.
Maybe if you had seen that people don't do that shit, you would know. But you.
Right. Since you're not paying any attention with your FE, you don't give a fuck that other people don't pace back and forth and do that thing because it's like, why would you pay attention to things like that? Each person has their own business to attend to. Why would they be worrying about what I'm doing with my hands? That's kind of FE polar.
Although I do notice, I do notice what I am doing. That's the thing that is bothersome. Like if I make a face, I have an image in my mind of the face that I'm making, and I am aware of it.
I mean, I guess that's what it comes. That comes from being an NIDOM.
You think so?
Yeah, like you've got NITE. You've been living in a world that requires you to include some problem solving along FE grounds. And so you've got these kind of clunky heuristics and workarounds. You've got NI impressions of a facial expression. I've tested FE polar people before. They do just fine at telling what emotion a given facial expression conveys.
Right.
In fact,
but, I mean, you would have had to have learned that by that point, right?
Yeah, so that's not a test of FE polar. A better test is the way in which you talk about it, really, as though what you sound like a fish who's jumping out of the water, and who goes, "Yeah, I love the air. I'm good at being in the air." But you're only comparing yourself to other fish, not comparing yourself to birds.
Right.
So that's what it sounds like to me. So yeah, I'm going INTJ. I'm feeling
one thing that bothers me is a test that you've done with people is you have them say something and you tell them to say it normally, sincerely, and then you tell them to say it sarcastically.
Let's test you on it.
So,
I mean, let's test you on it. Now, the thing is,
I think I can do it no problem.
I think you can do it no problem too. Okay, but this is not a definitive FE polar test. This is a speculative. This was a speculation of mine that this might prove to be an FE polar test. However, let's see how good your sarcasm or your stuff it really is. Okay, so first, say, I love your shirt. I've always loved that shirt, in a real way, and then say passively aggressive.
Passively aggressively.
Yeah.
Okay. So the normal way would be like, "Yeah, I love that shirt. I've always really liked that shirt. It's a nice shirt." And then a more passive aggressive way would be like, "Oh, that shirt. Yeah, I've always really loved that shirt. Oh yeah, I've always really liked that."
Okay. It's pretty good. How about say I want you to do genuine concern versus exaggerated concern for comedic effect. And the problem is, you've forgotten your hat at home.
I've forgotten it, and I'm showing concern that I've forgotten it.
Yeah, you're concerned about having left your hat at home. The first time legitimately, and the second time exaggerately with comedic.
I'm thinking of that. Have you seen this Geico commercial where it's the gecko has a flat tire and he's exaggerating? Like,
oh yeah, I have seen that commercial. I have. Actually.
That's exactly what I'm picturing in my mind. So, normal would just be like, I forgot my hat. I left my hat at home. It's raining. That's a problem. I need to remember it next time, right? And then, the exaggerated would just be like, oh, my hat. My hat. I left it at home. I cannot be without my hat. My hat. Why didn't you remember it, Marjorie? My hat. I guess that's more of like a,
Yeah, I would go.
I don't want to yell right now. If I wanted to yell, I could.
Here would be my normal and exaggerated. My normal would be like, God damn it, I left my hat at home because it's hot and I'm gonna wish I had it.
Right.
My exaggerated would be like, hold on, everybody. Everybody stop what you're doing. I've got an announcement. There's an emergency. I left my hat at home.
Well, I don't want to yell right now.
I wasn't yelling. But yeah, I agree. You would pass those tests. And
all right, fair enough.
I would say at this point that my takeaway from this is that you are an INTJ, and you've just basically falsified the utility of that as an FE polar test. I think it may be a better FE polar test for SI people, for ISTJs, okay. And the reason is, note how you did it. So right. It's like you said you brought to your mind an equivalent from external media and then copied it, whereas that never would have occurred to me. I would have just I literally pictured myself with maybe a couple other people and turning and either complaining to them in my way, God damn it, or making my kind of joke.
Right.
So it's a totally different mental process there, right? Because
I guess so.
But mostly indicative of SI over NI, not NI. You being NI over SI, me being SI over NI. Because for you, you're picturing somebody other than yourself first doing it and then copying it. For me, I'm literally picturing myself in a scene, talking to sort of icons of fill-in people, like. Right. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think despite your good performance on that, I would say that you are an INTJ, and that just isn't very useful as a test. I know that there are INTJ actors out there who successfully be actors, so obviously
I'd imagine an INT, like if you were like a method actor, which are often some of the best kinds of actors, I imagine an INTJ would be really good at like being a hardcore method actor.
What's funny is,
like, okay, you need to starve yourself for like 5 weeks and really get to that mindset. I feel like an INTJ could be like, well, this is going to suck, but I can do this.
I agree with you that INTJs are likely to be method actors, and I will also tell you that INFJs and ENTPs think that's insane. And ENFJs do too. The idea that you put yourself, like you don't need to. I don't need to be like blindfold myself for weeks in order to play a blind person.
But it's not as real.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't think any INFJ or ENTP would ever try the method acting approach. Like Rachel, when you and I start playing around with our Southern voices, in no way, shape, or form are we method acting, right? It's like we're not. I mean, I guess I'm sort of putting myself in the mindset of that person, but I'm mostly thinking, what's going to be funny? So I don't know. It's a whole different way of going about things. Like I guess because I don't see emotions as being real or having real displays. I see expressing emotions as part of good communication. So, in other words, in anything that I say, there's going to be varying degrees of tone, speed, volume, all of which convey my emotional intention. So right now this would be called like informative authoritative tone or something. Whereas if I, depending on the mood I'm trying to convey, I can say things that are harsh and soften them with smiles and laughs, or I can, and I do all that stuff naturally because I'm FE front stack. I don't remember where I was going with that, but there you go.
I don't remember necessarily either. I was getting lost. But it's you were talking about having emotions and
right,
expressing emotions in a way, and having
the method acting approach.
For
and the method acting approach says I need to feel those emotions to express them. Basically,
yeah, I guess so.
That's the takeaway. So, are you satisfied that you're an INTJ?
Well, it's what I came in thinking I was, and it's what I've been thinking for a long time. But it's watching your videos, the typing sessions. I've just come into it with a mindset of like, well, maybe self-reporting and me listening to these things and trying to internalize them with myself or apply them to myself is problematic. Maybe I don't understand myself as much as I think I do, or maybe I'm just not noticing things or something. I think that maybe someone else would.
I think if you let me publish this, I think you're gonna get very little pushback on the INTJ thing. Now, here's the thing. The other thing to take away from this for me is, I typed a woman the other day who very much affected the affect of an INTJ and had a lot of correlates with it, but gave me like really TI polar answers. And after an hour, I sort of reluctantly said, well, everything except the TI results suggests INTJ, but I really want a chance to retype her. I remember
hearing this
because I think she's an ESFP.
You should probably retype her.
I think she's an ESFP.
I was listening to this and I'm going, okay, I don't. If people think the way that I do, I don't know. Maybe I'm just super smart or something. I don't know.
If
people think the way that I do,
like you do.
What?
Real INTJs typically TI like you do because they have, even though it's backslot, it's demonstrative, and they have enough. They're just intuitively drawn to enough academic-ish things that they handle it no problem.
Here's something that I can bring up: the hats question. You didn't ask me the hats question, but I've heard the hats question. I answered the hats question immediately. After you finished the question, I immediately answered the question, and I answered it with the correct color hat. But I hadn't processed out. I just knew, well, 3 people, 2 white hats. It has to be a red hat. There's no other way. That's the only way she could have, or he could have possibly known. It has to be a red hat. So I just immediately knew it. But I didn't go through the, well, one person has to see this and this, and then the other person has to. I didn't do that. I just immediately answered it, which you suggested you think is indicative of high NI.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, high NI. And you felt very confident about your answer. So it's like...
Oh, it has to be. There's no other way.
I felt no confidence about any answer until I had worked out exactly why it has to be meow.
Right.
And so that's the difference between NI Dom and NI
That's a hard way of doing things.
Yeah, it is very labor intensive. I agree. It is very labor. It's like the brute force attack, right?
You should already know the answer, right?
I don't. All right, so I'm going to wrap up this video.
All right.
Are you cool with me publishing?
Yep, go ahead.
Thank you. I'll do so right now.